For this very first question, we need to determine whether the given ordered pair is the solution for the following equation. So here is my ordered pair, and here is my equation. And when we're given the ordered pair, we know that the x value is going to be 2, and the y value is going to be 3. So we're going to plug in the values of x and y into the equation. So anytime we see an x, this x will be replaced with a 2, and this y will be replaced with a 3. All right, so if we do that, I get 3. And then I can have a bracket here, and the x value is going to be 2, and I can close that bracket. And then I can subtract 5, and now I have the y value, which is going to be 3. And we need to see if that equals to -9 on the right-hand side. Okay, so if we continue to calculate the left-hand side here, I guess I get 6 here, 6 minus 15, and does that equal to -9? And it does, so -9 on the left-hand side and -9 on the right-hand side, so that indeed works. So this is definitely a solution to the following equation. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. So now I have the x value being, the x value here is 0, and the y value is going to be 4. So let's go ahead and plug that into the equation here. So this y will be replaced with the number 4. So 4 equals to -1/3. And then this x will be replaced with the number 0. So 0, and then plus 4. Okay, on the left-hand side, I still have the number 4, and on the right-hand side, well, there's -1/3 times 0. Anything times 0 is 0, so we're just left with the plus 4. So let's go ahead and bring that down. So 4 equals to 4, so this is definitely an answer to the solution. Okay, let's keep on going here. So we're just using different numbers and different equations now. So now the x value is 1, and the y value is -1. All right, so let's go ahead and figure this out here. So this would be 3 times y, and what's the y value? The y value is -1, and that's going to equal to 5 minus 2 times, and the x value here is going to be +1. All right, so now we need to see if the left-hand side equals to the right-hand side. So the left-hand side is going to be -3, so 3 times -1 is -3. And then on the right-hand side, I have 5 minus 2, and 5 minus 2 is going to be 3, but the left-hand side is -3. So since the left-hand side does not equal to the right-hand side, this is not a solution here. All right, let's move on to letter D here. Okay, so I have 1/3 here, and now I have this x. Now this x will be replaced with the x value, which is 6, so 1/3 times 6, and then minus 1/4 times y, and the y value here is going to be 8. And we want to see if that equals to 4. Okay, so for this problem, I guess we just have to deal with fractions here. So I usually take the numerator, which is 6 here, and I do division first. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2, minus, and 8 divided by 4 is going to be 2. So that's going to be 2 minus 2, and is that equal to +4? Well, on the left-hand side, 2 minus 2 is going to be 0, and then on the right-hand side we have 4. So definitely 0 does not equal to 4. So this is definitely not going to be a solution here. Okay, and finally for E, this one's kind of an interesting one here. We see that the x value is 4, and since it matches the x value there, this is going to be yes. If that didn't make sense, you can definitely look at the graph here. So when you graph x equals to 4, x equals to 4 looks like this. It's just a vertical line, and then we have the point 4, 2. The point 4, 2 is about here, approximately, and definitely the blue dot is on the green graph, so that's why the answer is yes. All right, it intersects the graph. Okay, let's move on to letter F here. So now I know that the y value is 3, but 3 does not match -1, so the answer is no. And if that wasn't clear, you can also draw a graph here. So when you graph y equals to -1, this is the graph of y equals to -1. It's just a horizontal line that's below the x-axis. And this point right here, -1, 3, well, this is -1, and maybe 3 is over here, right? So -1, 3. Clearly that green dot does not intersect the red line, so it's not a solution there. Okay, let's move on to some graphing questions now. So what we're going to do for these graphing questions is that we're going to isolate for the y variable, and my goal is that I will try to change all these graphs into y equals to mx plus b, and then from there I can easily create the graphs here. Okay, so in order to do this, I guess the 3y will remain the same. And then the 2x here, the 2x, if I move that to the other side, it becomes -2x. And then we have the +6. And then I can divide both sides by the 3. So divide that by 3, divide that by 3, and divide that by 3. If I divide both sides by 3, on the left-hand side I have a single y. And then on the right-hand side, if I have the -2 and the 3, we can write that as -2 over 3 with the x plus, and then 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. All right, so once you have the equation written like that, it's a little bit easier to graph because this plus 2 is where we start. All right, so once you want to start graphing, we start the y-intercept, which is at +2. And then if I take a look at the slope here, the slope is -2 over 3. Now, regardless of what the sign is, if it's negative or positive, what I always like to do is I always start with the numerator. So the numerator is 2. So I always go up first. So it's going to be up 2. And since we have the negative sign, that means we go left 3. Okay, so up 2, left 3. So if I go back to my starting point right here, I want to go up 2 and left 3. So up 2 and then left 3. Up 2 and then left 3. And then once I'm done there, I can go back to the starting point and go down 2 and right 3. So down 2 and then right 3. Down 2 and right 3. And there you go. There's my graph right there, and I can just draw a line connecting the graph. And there is my sketch right there. All right, perfect. Let's move on to another one. Okay. All right, so for this graph here, let's go ahead and once again, our goal is to write this in terms of y equals mx plus b. So the goal is, let's go ahead and write the equation as this. And if we do that, we can easily graph it. All right, so this y can remain, so the y remains. And then we take our 2x and we just move that to the other side. If I move that to the other side, it becomes -2x. And then the -4 just remains as -4. Okay, so this -4, this is where we start, right? That's where we start. So we start over here at -4, right? And then ask yourself, what is the slope? Well, the slope is really -2 over 1, right? So we always start with the numerator, so we always go up no matter what. So we go up 2, and because of that negative sign, we go left, and the number on the bottom is going to be a 1, right? So we go left 1. So from that starting point, which is right here, from that point there, we go up 2 and left 1 to complete the rest of the graph there. All right, so let's do that. So if we go up 2, over 1 to the left, so up 2 over 1 to the left, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and then once we're done, we can go back down and go down to right 1, and there is my graph right there. So let's just connect the dots there, and that should do it. Okay, let's move on to another one here. All right, so this one I like because there's a fraction here. So what we'll do is we'll take the -1/2 y and we'll leave it as -1/2 with the y equals 2. And then we have this 2x. If I move that over to the right hand side, it becomes -2x. And then this 2 just remains as +2. Okay. After that, let me just get rid of this minus sign first. So if I want to get rid of that minus sign, you just times both sides by a negative sign. So what that really means is now this will be +1/2 y. And then on the right hand side, all the signs change. So this negative becomes positive, so this will be 2x. And this positive sign will become negative, so it'll be -2. All right, so that's how you get rid of that minus sign. It's very important that you do know how to get rid of that by multiplying both sides by a negative number, like -1, for example. Okay, now we have a 2 on the bottom here, and basically we can get rid of that by multiplying both sides of the equation by 2. Okay, so if I multiply this side by 2, then I can multiply that by 2 and multiply this by 2. And what happens is that this 2 and that 2, that will cancel off, giving you the single y. And then 2 times 2 is going to be 4x minus, and then we have 2 times 2, and 2 times 2 is going to be 4. All right, so there you go. That's looking pretty good. So we can start at -4. So here's my -4. And then this is really 4 over 1, which means we go up 4. And since it's positive, we go right 1. All right, so from this starting point, we go up 4 and right 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. And that's pretty much all the space I have to kind of graph this. So there's my graph right there. Okay, good. hopefully everyone's kind of getting used to graphing these linear functions here. The next one, this one's okay because we don't need to do any algebra manipulation. We can just work from the answer here. So I see a -1, so this is where we start. So here's my y-intercept, -1. Okay, and then after that, you just need to analyze the slope here. So I have -2. This is really -2 over 1, right? So that means we're going up 2. We always go up first. And because of that negative sign, we go left by the denominator, which is 1, right? So from that red dot, which is the y-intercept, we go up 2 and left 1. So up 2 and left 1. Up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1. And then once we're done that corner, we go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And there it is. There's our graph. Right, let's keep on going, moving along. In this case here, I guess my y-intercept is +1, so we start there. And I guess because my slope is -3 over 4, I will start by going up 3. And because that negative sign, I go left 4. Okay, so up 3, 1, 2, 3, and left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go down 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after that, we can just graph that. And then we're done. Okay, so that one wasn't too bad. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. So this one's pretty good because we have to do a little bit of algebra here. So we can take this 2 and distribute that into the brackets. If we distribute that, we have x on the left-hand side, and then we have 2y minus 2, and then we have this +1 over here. Okay, if I keep on going here, I got x equals to 2y, and then -2 plus 1 is going to be -1. All right, and then from there, I guess we can just move things around. If I take this -1, if I move that to the other side, that will become x plus 1 equals to 2y. And then we can divide both sides by 2. And then basically what we have here is now we have y over here, 1/2 plus x over 2. Okay, and if I had to rewrite this, this is the same thing as y equals 2. Now this part right here, just rewrite that as 1 over 2 as your coefficient. And then you have your x plus your 1/2. Now this one's a bit of a tough one because we have all these fractional answers, right? The y-intercept is not very good. So in this case, what I recommend here is that you draw a table of values here. And you just need to have one good point here, and then you can start moving. You can quickly construct the graph once you have one good point here. And what I notice here is that the denominator here is a 2, and we have a 2 here as well, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to try to make sure that we have a very nice fraction when we add the numbers. So a good number that I'm thinking for x here is probably going to be 5. If I let x be 5, my equation is going to be 1/2 times 5 plus 1/2. And 1/2 times 5 is going to be 5 over 2 plus 1 over 2. And that gives me 6 over 2, and 6 over 2 is going to be 3. Okay, so it's really important that you think about the numbers here and you let x be 5 there, and if x is 5, and if I add 1/2 to that result, we get a nice answer of 3, right? So let's go to my graph now and find the point 5, 3. So here's 5, and here's the point 5, 3. Now that's a very good point because if I go back here, I mean, what's my slope? My slope here is just 1/2, right? So what does that mean? I go up 1 and right 2. Okay, so up 1 and right 2. Okay, so for this point, we go up 1 and right 2. So since I don't have any space, I can go down 1 and left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, and then now I have my graph like that. So definitely a good challenge for that particular problem. Okay, let's keep on going here. All right, so we have another question where we have to kind of like manipulate the variables here. So we can start off by getting rid of this -1. So let's move that to the other side. If I move that to the other side, it becomes x plus 1 equals to 2 over 3y. If I want to get rid of this y, I can multiply everything by 3. So multiply that by 3, multiply that by 3, and multiply this by 3. So this gives me 3x plus 3. And then I notice that the 3's cancel, giving me just 2y over here. And then how do I get rid of this 2 here? I can divide both sides by a 2. Okay, So if I do that, this and this will cancel off. This will give me y over here. I get plus 3 over 2. And then I can write this as 3 over 2x. And then if I just rearrange this, I can write this as y equals to 3 over 2x plus 3 over 2. Okay, so once again, this is another weird fraction one here, and I mean, the slope is going to be 3 over 2, so up 3, right 2. But I would just create a simple table of values here again, because this is actually a very hard one to graph because of the fractional numbers here. What I notice here is, take a look at the x value. If we let x be 1, then essentially we just had 3 over 2 plus 3 over 2. And if I add that together, I get 6 over 2, and 6 over 2 is 3. So if we let x be 1, the y value is going to be 3. So that's this point right here. That's 1 comma 3 right there. Okay, and then from that point, we know the slope, right? The slope is 3 over 2. So from that point, we just go up 3 and right 2. And then we go down 3 over 2. Down 3 over 2. Down 3 over 2. And then from there, I can just connect the dots, and there's my graph. Great. We're almost done this first homework video guide here. We just have 2 more questions to graph. If I have x equals to 3, this is probably one of the easier ones. It's just a vertical line, right? So when it's x equals to, it's just a vertical line that goes straight down, and that is x equals to 3. And then finally, the last one here, I have y equals to -2. So that's a horizontal line when y equals to -2. So there it is, y equals to -2 there. All right, so that concludes this first homework video guide on just graphing techniques.